to size. If you want, you can, you can get fancy, you can hem it. But you don't even have to do that. Sometimes the raw edge is kind of nice.
Back at the Furoshiki workshop, participants say this is a great way to avoid not just wrapping paper, but also small plastic carrying bags. Kristen De La Torre came to the workshop with a plan to wrap her holiday gifts this way. But now she says she'll carry furoshiki in her purse and use them when she buys a few small items at the store.
So I'm really excited about kind of the either upcycling things or, recycling.
And avoiding waste during the holidays is the kind of gift anyone can give to the planet. For NPR News, I'm Megan Jamerson in Los Angeles.
This is Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm A. Martinez.
And I'm Michelle Martin.
WNYC is supported by River's Edge, a planned community located in Riverdale, 10 miles from Manhattan. More information is available at riversedge.org or 833-70-RIVER. Leadership funding for WNYC's local and digital news initiatives is provided by the Jerome L. Green Foundation, a proud supporter of New York City's major cultural institutions.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Let's check in with London to see what they're working on. London, good morning.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm Tim Franks. On today's NewsHour, can a multinational alliance protect shipping from attacks in the Red Sea? That's BBC NewsHour, coming up at 9 on WNYC.
How people buy applications on Android phones is about to change, and there are an estimated 140 million of those in America.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com. And by Paychex, where HR, insurance, benefits, and payroll integrate into one platform. Whether 2 or 2,000 employees, Paychex can help make HR simple for businesses and employees.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. Details are now public of an antitrust settlement that Google has reached with state attorneys general. It's about the Google Play Store, where you buy the apps that run under the Android system. Google has agreed to ease restrictions on how independent app makers charge users. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer has details.
Attorneys general from all 50 states and the District of Columbia had accused Google of abusing its market dominance with what they called unnecessary fees and restrictions on how apps could be downloaded on Android devices. Google hasn't admitted wrongdoing, but it has agreed to pay $630 million into a settlement fund for consumers. Google will put another $70 million into a fund that will be used by the states. In a blog post, Google's Vice President of Government Affairs and Public Policy, Wilson White, says consumers can now download apps directly from a developer's website without going through an app store like Google Play. Google gets a cut of up to 30% of purchases downloaded from its app store. The settlement still needs final court approval. Last week, game developer Epic won a different case against Google. A jury decided Google's charges and rules for developers violated antitrust law. Google is appealing that verdict. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
More now on the conditions under which Southwest Airlines passengers can get free vouchers for flights as compensation for the system-wide Southwest Airlines mess. A year ago, 2 million passengers were delayed. Now, as part of a $140 million penalty with the federal government, passengers can get a voucher if they suffered through what's called a controllable cancellation or delay. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes explains.
Under the new order, if Southwest passengers arrive at their destination 3 or more hours late, they can request a voucher worth at least $75, but only if the issues were caused by something that's under the airline's control.
It could be aircraft cleaning, or it could be fueling or mechanical issues.
Blaine Werke is Assistant General Counsel with the DOT's Office of Aviation Consumer Protection, which conducted the Southwest investigation. The voucher program will start in late April and last 3 years. Workey says the agency wants consumers to be treated fairly.
And if you are not treating them fairly, you will be held accountable.
In other words, there's a price for failure, says Henry Harteveld of the Atmosphere Research Group.
If you do not invest in your technology systems, if you do not have ways for you to keep in touch with your crews, then you're going to have to give the traveler a credit.
The Department of Transportation is expected to propose a rule that would require all airlines to compensate passengers for these kinds of delays. I'm Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
Markets S&P and Dow futures are both up 0.2%, and this number, the average wage employers will pay to get people to come to work for the company. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York says it is now more than $79,000, up from more than $69,000 just in July. This is the highest wage in the 9 years researchers have been doing the calculation. At work here, very low unemployment, empowering workers to demand more if they're going to switch jobs.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by UiPath. More than 10,000 organizations use the UiPath AI-powered business automation platform to automate business processes. It's a smarter way to innovate. More at uipath.com/marketplace. UiPath, the foundation of innovation. And by Charles Schwab. Schwab believes every investor deserves to work with a firm they can count on, with financial consultants ready to serve clients and 24/7 live help.
I want to warn you here that our next story references self-harm. 28 million adults who have a mental illness go untreated in the U.S. This is terrible for people, but it also hurts the economy. Take Indiana. Researchers there put a price tag on untreated mental illness. Elizabeth Gabriel, a reporter from the public health news initiative called Side Effects Public Media, has that.
Doctors diagnosed Willie Frazier with depression and borderline personality disorder when he was a teenager.
Depression is real, and it can hit you anywhere. You could be at the top of the world, and then one little thing, and you just completely at the bottom.
When someone has a chronic mental illness, like major depressive disorder, finding the strength to seek help can feel unsurmountable.
I even tried to rip my own teeth out because I just wanted to feel something besides the thoughts in my head telling me I'm not good enough.
Frazier is roughly one of 400,000 people in Indiana with untreated mental illness. Researchers found that untreated mental illness cost Indiana over $4 billion in 2019. For context, the state's leading agricultural industry, corn, generates at least $3 billion a year. Heather Taylor, who led the study, says the workforce loss is huge.
That equates to about 100,000 jobs.
And some of that cost is also from missed work days.
So we are taking money out of our economy because we're not treating these conditions well, frankly, or individuals don't have appropriate access to the treatments that they need.
And when people don't have the treatment they need, that can lead to premature deaths. That's where most of the $4 billion comes from. Fewer people working, paying taxes, and adding to the economy. According to a 2008 study, the most recent, nationwide untreated mental illness costs the U.S. at least $193 billion every year. Researcher Marion Green at Indiana University says one barrier is the healthcare workforce shortage. It's led to longer wait times to see mental health specialists.
People with serious mental illness, they generally have to have some type of medication and medication management, so they need to see a psychiatrist before they can get the right prescriptions.
And even if a provider is available, it's still tough for people like Willie Frazier, who has a history of self-harm. He's low income and doesn't have insurance.
Therapists cost so much. Mental medicine costs so much. And I'm just like, I'm not going to pay for this when I can't afford it.
Frazier says he is working hard to get his own insurance so he's closer to accessing the health care he needs. In Indianapolis, I'm Elizabeth Gabriel for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm David Brancaccio, and we are from APM, American Public Media.